Hello, hi, welcome to another episode of Freewheeling Fridays. We are streaming live right now. Hi, Vinod.
Hey, good to meet, and I'm happy to be doing this live. A lot of people, been seeing our recorded sessions, I think, in the last 3, 4 sessions, good to be live, folks. We are live. So that means you can ask us questions real time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since we are putting out recorded shows, mainly because of the time difference between us and Bhargavi. Bhargavi is based out of San Diego in the US. So to ensure that all three of us are present, we are recording and we're putting out the episodes. But today, we are live because Bhargavi couldn't join, so we decided, we'll do it live today.
Bar-
Great.
Bhargavi doesn't know. That's why.
I did give her a warning. I don't know if she managed to see it or not, because it's late. All right. So if you're joining us, keep those questions coming in. Happy to answer any questions you may have as well. Freewheeling by the nature, it is freewheeling. So we'll be talking about various topics that have crossed our paths or came on our radar in the last 1 week or so, mostly touching the startup ecosystem, but in broader socio-economic topics as well are fair game for us to discuss in this episode. So with that said, Vinod, where do you want to start?
And I think, it's been like a season of consolidation. Uh, I mean, events, season of events, consolidation, so many events, in the last 1 2 weeks, right? Like across the country, Bombay, Chennai, Bangalore, though, is like, a single day, you won't believe there are 5 events, man. Like day before yesterday. Like, so is if the funding winter, I don't know, but at least it's an event summer, or let's say an eventful summer.
Yeah.
I think,
Was nice. That was nice.
yeah. So, like, I think people are anyway. I mean, my joke is now, if you're not investing, might as well,
Yeah,
do
do an event.
event bandwidth for events is may high in all VC firms today.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's an interesting topic also. Why do you think most VCs, right, usually have these events in Jan, Feb, March sort of a time frame?
No, I think typically, right, before the weather goes north, Karthik, that's one. You don't want the hot season. And then the other reason I think start believe now is the IPL will start by end of March, right? IPL starts and everybody in the evening, right, is at least most folks are engaged in watching, IPL. And especially in a city like Bangalore, right, there will be supporters for every team, right? Be Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai. I mean,
Hmm.
so obviously, you can get them out, but a beer alone may not get them out, right? Or a beer or a coffee or just a dinner, right? I mean, it's a socializing event in most of these cases. It's not like an obligated thing, it's more about friend socialization events. That's what's happening, right? So that's my view. Maybe the IPL plus the summer heat. Um, Actually, summer heat should actually be inviting to have a beer in the evening, Karthik, isn't it?
That
So,
is true. That is true.
yeah, yeah, but
But I think people will be in less of a mood to travel. If the heat is cranking up, especially in places like Mumbai.
correct. And also, right, the other reason I'll tell you is because the year gets over, right? So you review your last year. So the first 3 months, everybody ends up putting a report to their LPs and taking
Correct.
stock of situation, planning for the next year, and the LP event is basically taking stock of of the last year, right? So that I think is the reason why it all coincides between January to March in a lot of these cases. Yeah, that's the case. We've seen this. We've lived through this a little bit. Yeah. So
But this is also a sort of a logistical nightmare for people who are running these events, right? Because they need to ensure that there is no conflict with some other event. What is the right location?
yeah, yeah, it's a massive. Somebody
Logistical
definitely here.
exercise.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have to look for calendar, you have to look for IPL dates, you have to look for long holidays. I mean, God knows, what all somebody has to look, before you pull off an event. And then, somebody smarter than you, somebody more famous than will definitely have their event. Yes. I mean, Saravanan is a good
So,
friend. Welcome, Saravanan. This time we are doing live, man. We've been cheating people by putting it recorded versions. This week we are doing live, and definitely beer on the mind. At least in Bangalore, right? That's what's on the mind, man. When I come to Coimbatore, right? It just mellows down a bit. I don't have beer on the mind.
but beer has always been on the mind. It's never not on the mind, Sharanan.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, what we should do is we should invite Saravanan also. Okay, so for and ask. Actually, I should do it. I mean,
You
we'll
should
ask.
join us right
I'll ask him.
now.
I'm going to ask Karthik. Parallelly, if he's free, I'm going to make him join. Okay, Saravanan, are
That
you
is,
free? I'm going to make you join. It'll be fun to ask him. Give a view from the city there. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, he's joining us in 1 minute. Okay, Karthik. So as we wait for Saravanan to join, um,
guys. This is truly freewheeling. Okay, this is I this is a success story for freewheeling. This is what we intended when we initially started freewheeling, right? So like-minded people will join the conversation on the fly and have
hey,
conversations with us.
hey, Karthik. I also want to announce. We're going to have a very special guest next week.
Yep. So like, why don't we just put that up?
I'm going to put without. Should we put the name? I'm saying we should put. I think right by now.
Yeah, I think we should put the name so people know who it is. And they can tune in as well.
Yeah, I'm going to do that now. Ajit. Okay, here we go. Okay, my English is bad, Karthik. You'll have to correct. Okay, I'm going to correct it. Special guest next week. That's all. That's it. Okay, that's good. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay.
will be super exciting to have him over, man. I think Sajid uh, is really one of those minds who goes deep into topics on a variety of topics, right? I think he's been voicing out on Twitter prolifically. So he's also put out a new report, the Indus Valley report.
Exactly. We're going to discuss that, Karthik. That's the agenda for 1.5 hour next Friday. We're going to
So do
discuss.
do tune in, guys. I think you may want to read the excerpts of the report, which are there on Twitter that he posted, or you can actually download and read the whole report. But the idea is, we're going to have Sajid over and discuss some of the hypotheses or some of the conclusions that they made on the report, and go deep a little bit.
Yeah. So let me try. I'm going to try more. See. Okay, I'm getting the guest. Yeah. So
So while we're talking about a special guest next week, I think we're soon going to be joined by a special guest this week. He's right here. Um, Vinod, do you want to do a brief introduction?
hey, Saravanan. Good evening.
Hi guys.
Can you?
Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Saravanan, yes, yes, we can hear you. You are live and the world's hearing you.
Oh, nice. Finally, I've been meaning to catch you guys on a live session. I think this week I got lucky.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to the show, Saranan.
Yeah. So Saravanan, just to give brief, right? Very good friend of ours from Coimbatore. We've been working on, activating the Coimbatore startup ecosystem. Been of great help whenever I've been to Coimbatore. Right. I think someone whom I can, without worrying, can call as a friend.
Oh,
So
likewise, Vinod.
yeah.
Likewise.
So welcome to Freewheeling Fridays with Java Capital. We have Karthik, and Karthik knows
Hi.
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi, Karthik.
I do, man. Welcome to the show, Saranan, and it's great to hear about all the progress that you've been making in Coimbatore. But now that you're here, we're gonna bombard you with questions. So
Yes,
brace
please.
yourself.
Happy to answer them. Please go ahead.
So why don't you do a little bit of introduction of yourself and what do you do, Sarunan? First, then we'll grill you about Coimbatore's food and whatnot. Okay.
Hello. Okay,
Little,
sure.
yeah.
So I run a team called Syndicate Space. We are primarily strategic consultants. We work with large manufacturing companies, FMCG companies, pan India. So we help with their market expansion, new market entry, distributor appointment, basically increasing their marketing and sales and the bottom line basically. So unlike other consulting groups, we also handle the execution. Let it be, setting up of a sales channel, social media campaigns, increasing their sales on marketplaces, getting an Indian company into 20 plus foreign countries, everything we do and we execute it. So basically we, walk the talk. That's what we do. So that is our main bread and butter. But I also own and run a hybrid incubator, accelerator slash co-working space. So we had a fairly large property in the middle of the city, which we turned into a workspace, which we don't give out to just anyone. It's not a first come first serve model. We vet the kind of companies and startups that apply, and if we see that they're a good fit, we let them in. Like for example, we have Simple, the payment processing company here. We also have a D2C brand here. So just by the, just for the benefit of being in the same building, I got them to both together and they're using each other's services now. So that's how this system works. And moreover, the smaller startups that we house here, or even if they've just taken a co-working space, they come over and talk to all of our experts over a coffee, saying, "Hey, I'm stuck here. Hey, I've got this issue. Can you recommend me a tool? Or can I borrow some of the tech tools that you guys have been developing? Let me test it out and see." And we give it to them free of charge on most cases. If they're small enough and if they're deserved enough, we just give it to them. And basically they build things fast, test it out and see if they have a product market fit, and they scale tremendously. We've seen that happen for the last 2-3 years. And as good as it all sounds, we also have another wing. We have a tech vertical where we developed our own autonomous chat platform. We developed our own analytics engine, simple dashboards for early stage startups to track all of their sales channels and so on and so forth. We do a lot of things. And as good as it all sounds, this was born out of necessity, right? Unlike in places like Bangalore or Hyderabad or Mumbai, there is no set ecosystem to speak of here. Yes, there are a lot of advisors, there are a lot of mentors, but you rarely see any startup breaking the mold from this region. I'm sure you guys wouldn't have heard, at the rate or at the volume that comes out of a place like Bangalore, we are not even 5%. And there are various reasons to that. And instead of, complaining and moaning about it, we just decided to get together and do as much as we can. And from the money that we generate from the other verticals, we also put in a small amount, say 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs into startups that think really deserve it. And the best part is it'll be our own guys hand-holding them with the money, right from incorporation to you name it, to marketing and scaling. And we've been doing it in a very informal way. And for the past couple of months, I've been in discussion with Vinod and Java Capital in general to sort of formalize this and bring, the kind of ecosystem that Bangalore has to Coimbatore. I mean, it's a kind of a long elevator pitch, but that's mine.
No, it's good. It makes my job easier, sir. And I was supposed to pitch it to Karthik and Bhargav. You only pitched it right. Like
Right.
Bhargavi also was on the call right today. I was like, okay, thanks, man. You've done like 70-80% of my job.
Nice. So yeah, that's us. That's the syndicate.
Yeah. So okay, let's do a little bit deeper, right, on Coimbatore,
Yeah.
right? What's the challenge? I know we understand, but a lot of IT companies in Coimbatore today, like you just mentioned, right? Like you mentioned about
Right.
Simple being there. So there is
Mhm.
talent. It's not like it's not a dearth of talent. There is talent. There is
I
in
know.
big engineering colleges like PSG, CIT, Kumaraguru. I mean, they're like
Correct.
super well-known colleges in Coimbatore, and producing top people who have gone on to great things, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
then what's the challenge? We have the talent, you have the space, you have the nice weather, you have the sweet water from Sirvani, and great food, amazing warm people. I keep
Right.
on where is the challenge? I mean, you might know this better than me, obviously. Yeah.
So, very interestingly, on this exact same topic, I had a discussion with my team and some of my clients that I work closely with just this morning at the Syndicate, and it seems to me that is accurate. So everything is there, like you said. Like for example, the team that I built this tech platform with are students that I hired from a tier 3 city in a relatively unknown college that have kicked ass basically. So it's this exact same platform that I'm charging lakhs per client, right? And I didn't have any fancy tech head, or I didn't get anyone from Bangalore or even from Coimbatore for that matter, just this region. What ends up happening is everybody here, for whatever reason, it could be pressure, it could be economical, they tend to choose the service route. So the exact same tech platform and the chatbot platform, the analytics platform that I built, people have done it before. They just haven't packaged it, they haven't branded it, and they do not know how to sell. And for once, I have a bone to pick with my city people. It's the humility that is killing us. We are not shameless in going out and selling. We absolutely do not go out and promote ourselves. I have an issue with that. I have a very, very tough time. In fact, the only public platform that I talked about my system is in a Java event, which happened 2 weeks back, 3 weeks back. That's the only time I publicly. Karthik, if you had seen that video of the event, I mentioned in the beginning of my pitch, just half an hour earlier, I came up with a name for my product. And, and I had to go to Chat GPT and say, hey, this is my use case. Please give me 10 cool, catchy names that I can come up with. I picked the first one and I went with it. So that I would say is our main issue.
Yeah, that reminds me, you're supposed to send me something which is still not come. Okay.
We're just a little busy making money.
Which is always good, money first is always good, definitely, validation of the product better than anything.
Correct.
Yeah. Karthik, yeah.
But Saravanan, I think this is something that we discussed last week also, incidentally, right?
Right.
About what's happening in the tier 2 cities of this country, the revolution of entrepreneurship, right?
Right.
Um, what are you seeing on the ground? Like, how is the energy like? Are you really seeing these the colleges that Vinod has mentioned, right? The students coming out of these colleges, are they really thinking about innovating? Uh, are they still more inclined towards the IT jobs, and more of a safety net is what they're choosing?
So you should know that the students, the economic strata that the students here come from are lesser than in islands of privilege like Bangalore. So I can't blame them. So yes, they absolutely need a safety net, which is why they take the path of least resistance and make sure that their paychecks are solid and all of that. But more than that, the problem that I identified, there are far more startups coming out of this region than, let's say, even 5 6 years ago, because I started this out exactly 9 years ago, the space. And the rate and the volume of startups coming up have certainly increased. But again, there is a critical problem that I identified. See, because we are strategic consultants, we work very closely with the brands, with the sales team, with the operations team. We find out what the issue is, which is what gave me the idea to create the product that actually solves the problem. But what I'm seeing right now is they build a product and then they go out looking for a problem to solve. So that is another critical issue that I'm seeing currently. They don't seem to have the industrial connect, or they don't seem to have a grasp on the problem that they want to solve. They have bloated, needlessly expensive software. They spend a huge amount on tech staff and tech resources without actually addressing the problem at hand, which is why they fail to take off, and they need to be perpetually funded by VCs or external sources of funding. This I've seen it personally in at least 10 to 12 startups that have approached me.
I think that's an interesting point that you make, Sharon. It's not only important that you think with an innovative bent of mind, but also constantly test your hypothesis, right? I think that's where people like you and companies like Syndicate come into action and help do that. And you're
Correct.
absolutely right. That sort of infrastructure is definitely missing from the tier two cities of this country. I think to a certain extent that is missing even in cities like Bangalore, right? But it's a lot more easier for budding entrepreneurs to reach out, get mentored, and have those checks and balances in a city
Correct.
like Bangalore as opposed to places like
Correct.
Coimbatore.
So one thing interesting that we are doing on the not accelerator, incubator side is we have a running list of problems that our clients have, and whatever that we couldn't address, we put it in sort of like a directory, and we know what has to be done to solve it. And we are trying to partner with either tech companies or product based companies on giving them the exact problem statement that these brands that we work with have, and get them to solve it. So that solves the first step of the problem, right? So that's that's what I'm doing.
I think Sharanan, that's for sure interesting, um, and kudos to you for doing that. Really
Thank you.
appreciate the effort that you're putting in. So let's switch gears a little bit, Sharanan.
Yeah.
The other question that I wanted to ask, right,
Right.
is I don't know if you saw a joke on the chat, but do look at it at some point of time.
No, he's private, Karthik. He's on a guest link. He won't see our jokes.
Oh, he cannot see the internal jokes. Oh no, that's why we're laughing. Okay, fine. We'll talk about that later offline then.
Sure, sure.
uh, so the other question that I wanted to ask Sharanan is, are you seeing any inclination towards product companies in Coimbatore, versus services companies, right?
Right.
Because there are when we talk about entrepreneurship, right? VCs, typically tend to invest in product companies as opposed to services companies, right? So, what kind of balance are you guys striking there? Do you help people figure out, whether this is a lifestyle kind of a business or a VC fundable business? Can you shed some light on that as well?
Sure. I wouldn't say that there are more product-based companies coming out of here. I don't think that is happening anytime soon. That's basically due to the geography that we are in. But what we are seeing a lot is companies that used to be purely service-based companies. or even commodities. Like one of the brands that we work with, they were a trading company. They do a lot of turmeric and ashwagandha and all of that, right? Now these kind of people, they've started branding themselves and are hitting the market in a D2C route.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is not exactly
That seems
scalable,
to
but
be
at
like
least it's
that seems to be like a low-hanging fruit. You
correct. Correct.
evolve into a D2C brand.
Exactly. So three of the clients, the strategic clients that we work with, three very large ones. I'm talking about 500 crores turnover plus. Even they used to get large orders from Europe and US and do contract-based manufacturing and the like. Now they realized, hey, I have all of the setup. Why not create a brand of my own? Right. So that shift is definitely happening from what used to be a nameless, faceless mill or a factory. They started slapping their name on top and creating a brand. So how successful they are is still up for debate, but at least it's a step in the right direction. This is
No, but
the change that I
for sure,
so this
that's a
is
broader conversation anyway, right? I mean, it's not just D2C brands coming out of Coimbatore.
correct.
It's a problem for brands across India. But I do, that is something that we sense too. We've seen a lot of D2C brands coming out of tier two cities, um,
Correct.
and most of these founders, they already are coming from like a family background in the same business. Either they're suppliers or they were traders. There was some sort of connection, and they understand the space very well. So that seems like a natural progression for them.
Exactly. So fathers who used to make innerwear or just plain contract based manufacturing, the sons or daughters, they return from Europe educated or US educated, and they realize that their family business can be doing a lot more, and then they take over the branding and the marketing and sales, and they create a brand out of it. I personally know about 15 to 20 companies here in this region in the last 3 years alone who started coming out with a brand of their own. So if you are looking for somebody like Razorpay, that's not happening here. But
Mm-hmm.
I'd gamble and say you won't be seeing brands or companies like this in Bangalore.
I think that's an interesting thing as well. I think this is also something that we discussed last time, right? Innovation, right? In certain areas, it's concentrated in certain cities. For example, SaaS. Chennai has pretty much become the SaaS capital.
Correct. Correct.
We're also seeing a lot of space tech companies, coming out of either Chennai or Hyderabad. Um, there is a concentration of fintech companies in certain area. Do you see any advantages like that for a city like Coimbatore? Do you think there are certain areas where they can potentially excel at?
Yeah, maybe I'll do it from an outsider, then he can give an insider view. Let's try that, right? I've spent like the last 1 year at least, at least 15 days, maybe in Coimbatore. So 15 to 20 days that I've spent staying in different places, eating, talking to a lot of different folks, right? I think my sense, Karthik, what would suit them. Look, I think they're already on the services tech play. Frankly, the current tidal park that they have is filled. There are plans to start a new tidal park, for example, and the city is expanded massively, right? I think it is. There's a ring road plan. I mean, pretty delayed, I think. So it just shows, right? There is a massive explosion of population that's coming in and talent that is there. That's kind of given. It's like, in my view, it's in the 2000 or a 95 Bangalore in some sense. 95 to 2000 kind of
Yes,
Bangalore. That's my comparison. It's like a
that's true.
two decade away, from becoming a massive ecosystem.
That's
And
true.
the city is inherently entrepreneurial. It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there are a few cities in the country, which are inherently entrepreneurial, like Surat to a great
Mm-hmm.
extent.
Mm-hmm.
Tirupur, also similar vibes you'd find. I mean, people want to just go out and be achievers in their own right. It could be their own small shop, they could be their own shop, SMEs, small businesses, but they want to be entrepreneurs. They don't want to be just employees. Maybe the new generation will see that shift happening because not everybody is going to become one more generation of an entrepreneur. It's inherently there, that quality I mean, if you have to call the South Banya, maybe that's where it is in some sense, right? That is the South region, and this region is all there. It's only a matter of time that they catch on to this new form of wealth creation, new form of job enablement, new form of entrepreneurship, which is much more tech led rather than a traditional brick led, if you have to call it, right. Which they are already good at in a way, the brick led motor business or the motor business itself, right, which is Coimbatore is famous
Correct.
for. So that's kind of from an outsider. The transformation has started. And selfishly, I think I am parking myself there so that we'll be one of the first ones to catch the wave. In a way.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So what to answer Karthik's question on what sort of stands out from here and what will ideally take off from here are tech-enabled companies trying to conquer the physical space. If you want, I don't see any pure tech AI deep learning startups coming out from here, but I will bet good money that you will see tech enabled companies trying to conquer the physical retail, trying to automate the distribution. That will take off from here because only companies here, companies who are entrepreneurial, would have even had to have dealt with the distribution channels, the retail channels, so on and so forth. So I am going to bet my money that this is what will take off from this region, because that is inherently our strength, right? We know more about this space than our peers in Bangalore or Mumbai or wherever else, because we are hardcore, the factories and mills and shops and trailers and agencies and stuff like that. So it's a matter of putting them all together, automating them, digitizing them, and leading the growth in that direction. So that's what I think will happen.
Awesome. So, coincidentally, Saravanan, we are on a similar kind of a business that we are investing in Coimbatore, which is trying to digitize B2B, right? And it's not surprising,
Right.
yeah, and
Correct.
correct. So I think it's not surprising. You just probably that's the thesis. We didn't know this is the Coimbatore thesis. Maybe we should explore this bit more deeper and calling it the Coimbatore thesis.
Correct.
Maybe it'll work. Karthik, we should dive deeper. Yeah.
No, I mean, it makes no sense for, let's say, I were to start a tech startup, right? In the AI space or analytical space or deep learning or whatever else. Where will I find the people for it? I'll still have to be dependent on a very expensive engineers from Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi who do not want to come here in the first place. I tried. Trust me, I tried all of that. It's not working. So instead of doing that, instead of trying to ape something that is not in my genes inherently, why don't I build something that I am good at and make that scalable? So in fact, that's the problem that we are solving currently internally at the syndicate itself, which is why we talk with a lot of these companies, a lot of the manufacturers, and we are trying to help and be better. In fact, digitizing the B2B automation, trying to figure out what the marketing channels are, trying to map the physical channels. So we've gone so far as to map out all of the retailers in a given pin code, put them on a map with the latitude, longitude, find out if they're modern trade or general trade. Will it fit the kind of brand that we are serving? Because if I'm working with somebody like Epigamia, I can't go put them in a 10 by 10 mom and pop supermarket, right? I need to know which size or which brand would be ideal for a brand like this. And this is what the brands are missing, in fact. So I'd still say this is the route that this region has to take. And there are lots. So while we were building this, we realized, so okay, we built the warehouse channel, we built the distributor channel, we built the retail channel. Then when we started offering this to the brands, the question came, hey, who's going to take care of my logistics? So that's a cue for a local logistics player to come in and connect the dots. Then, and interestingly, this problem came today. While we were setting up all of this for a brand and connecting them through our distributor and retail channels, one of the brands came and said, hey, do you have any kind of financing options? Then I realized, okay, for this particular route, specialized kind of financing and credit systems and everything needs to come into play. Again, a queue for a local, somebody like M2P or somebody very similar. There's a ready problem to solve. I have that problem that is solvable, and people are willing to pay money for it. So this is something I think we should leverage coming out from here.
Got it. So awesome. That's like a great insider view of Coimbatore. And I think, I keep telling Karthik, we have to do a lot more to Coimbatore because we've kind of, had a good start. We've got some nice vibes going there. And I keep telling, we should, invest more time, resources, and capital there. And I think in the long run, it will pay rich dividends, not just in terms of goodwill, but I think in terms of even the outcomes,
Correct.
frankly.
For example,
So,
Vinod, I come from a position of privilege, right? I have multiple sources of income, and I use the profits from one, for example, to fund the tech side, which is now making money and is very profitable and self-sustaining. Now, not everyone gets that opportunity. Not everyone gets that capital. Even getting their hands on 10 to 15 lakhs is a huge deal here.
Correct.
They're made to jump through hoops, wait 6 months, 12 months, even longer, not having the money come in. They give up the idea entirely. Then they move on to a salaried IT job. I've seen countless cases where that's happening now. So which is why I thought, bringing somebody like Java here and using the network effect of Java more than just the capital, right? That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so I've told Karthik our next plans today morning. So we're going to, Karthik will receive invoices from somewhere else. So he knows what I'm telling. Yeah.
Right.
we're strategizing on Freewheeling Friday.
When Bhargavi wakes up in the morning and listens, right, Saravanan TV, like, hey, you left me out and then you strategize.
Is it the
Freewheeling.
same fund?
No, I offered Java a space in my co-working space. Just put up your flag here,
Oh,
start reaching out. Simple as that.
no, by the way, that was the one I told in the Karthik in the morning. What you just said, that's what I told Karthik. I think now that you already told so much, right? I think Karthik, we should just say, man, yeah, we're going to start a, office
Just
in
make it
Coimbatore.
official. Just tie the knot.
That's what we were discussing, by the way. So it's
Oh,
like
fantastic.
minds coming together. Frankly, can't be more coincidental. Yeah. So we will
No,
shortly, I think, do something. Yeah.
before I let you go, Sharon, I know we've taken way too much of your time, uh, but let me just lean on your insights a little bit more, right? Like,
Sure.
what after Coimbatore? Like, are you looking at any other cities on your radar?
Frankly, we are swamped with just trying to, keep things running here. But my next site is on a very tiny city called Erode, which is about 45 minutes from here, and which is where one of our biggest clients, Milky Mist, is present. And that is where I'm doing the bulk of my hiring from also. So they are extremely industrious, extremely hardworking. There is a very nascent startup ecosystem trying to take root there, and I think that's where I'd go next. I will avoid, purely for the sake of being saturated already, cities like Chennai or Cochin or Bangalore or wherever else that there are established players there already. But I want to go to cities like this. But instead of asking them to build everything from scratch, I'm going to give them a framework, saying, hey, these are the industries that we identify. These are the tech and tools that we have that we can give to you. Why don't you put these together and solve the problem, and then we can take it forward together. That was going to be my pitch. In fact, I've been asked to come to this college that I hire from to give this exact same talk. So that would be my next, target.
Awesome. On that note, right, and potentially our office in Coimbatore on that positive note. I think thanks, Saronan, for joining. Appreciate, thanks for all the help and look forward to, continue to working with
Of
you.
course,
Yeah.
of course. All right,
Thank you,
guys.
Sharon. Great seeing you today.
Likewise, Karthik. Thank you, Vinod. Bye, Karthik.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye bye.
Bye. See you. Okay. So that's good. So we had a surprise guest, really freewheeled, and we just worked on the last week's topic. Expanded it a bit. I
It's
feel
like an extension, it's a natural extension of what we discussed last
natural
week.
extension, and also we got to strategize, on freewheeling, which most other VC firms, I think will only dream of. Karthik, we can do it.
Quite right, quite right. All right, do you have anything else on mind?
Nothing, man. I think the summer is going to be harsh. That's my view. I looked at some heat maps of the summer. Actually, 85% of the country has a chance of a heat wave.
Yeah.
Uh, Bangalore is likely not to have the lowest likely chances of having a heat wave. As usual, one of the most cocooned cities, even by nature. Uh,
We're
in
spoiled.
yeah, I mean, unless I'm not going to jinx it, but yeah, I think rarely we've had any major, anticipated calamities or any calamities to the city. Even no heat wave. I think it'll be like a minor one compared to rest of the country that will go through this year's heat wave, right? Which I think is unfortunate. But again, it brings back to this old topic of ours, Karthik. Climate, and I mean, this heat wave could be very related. That's something that I saw, and yeah, I think the summer is going to be much earlier. It's already there. I feel a little bit. You can start feeling the heat.
Mhm.
So April, May is going to be like really hard time, and the cricketers who are going to play cricket, they're going
We're
to
gonna
have
feel.
a sweating time. Is my view this time, even worse than the last summer. It's going to be a hot Indian summer for all practical purposes, and
Yeah.
you may get your mangoes better or worst. I don't know, but it's going to be a hot Indian summer. That's one thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, on my mind. Yeah.
There's something else, that caught my eye this week. I was just going through Twitter, and then all of a sudden I come across this graphic. Let me just put it up real quick.
Are you pulling up some controversial tweet?
Yes, 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 I am. Yeah. Here.
Okay.
So on the x-axis, we have years, right? Like from 2000 onwards till 2018.
Hmm.
Um, and on the y-axis, we have the z-score, essentially indicating the number of incidents, right, with respect to other years. So this graph is basically about suicides, self-poisoning,
This is
depression
India.
episodes.
This is India, Karthik.
This is not India.
This is not India. Okay.
This is not India. So my question to you, Vinod, is: do you see the inflection point for this?
I mean, the inflection point is like what, 2012?
Yeah,
What's
around the time 2011.
what happened then?
So this is apparently the onset of iPhone era,
No.
2010.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the iPhone started in 2007, 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
Okay.
is when the apps sort of exploded,
Let's see. Let's call
and
it the smartphone era. This is the
the
smartphone era.
smartphone era. Yeah. And this graphic was put up by Paul Graham of Y Combinator, right? And then the logic is the explosion of apps and the impact it is having on girls, especially. This is with respect to women and girls. Um, I think the correlation is shocking, man. It's
If it
I
is
know
true,
yeah, if
if
it
this
is true.
correlation and causation can be attributed, I think if
Mm,
you just zoom the graph, Karthik, again, right, I think the inflection point for India, right, will be 16 or 17.
correct, yeah.
Because,
Maybe a little bit later also.
yeah, because smartphones plus geo
Plus
data,
Geo, yeah,
I
yep.
think that is the inflection. 16, 17 will be our inflection point. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody should actually look at some social scientists, should look at, if we are also, but true, but there's one, anecdotal evidences of that, right, could already be there, Karthik, of young people especially, right, and then COVID also, right, made them go so much more inward looking. In a sense, you are at home and you are always looking
Yep.
at your phone, and I also feel that I'm like much more addicted to my phone in a way. uh, it's hard to avoid, looks like, right, the phone's always hanging around, that's what my daughter jokes, right, or like my wife also thinks, you have another wife, which is the phone.
No, no, I think you're absolutely on the money there, Vinod. It's this graph. It's only till 2018, and if you look at post-pandemic, those 2 years, right? I think you'll see even more dramatic increase in episodes of depression and suicides.
Correct. So, I mean, more startups are getting funded in that, but I think problem for a smartphone cannot be another smartphone app, Karthik.
I think which is why we're focusing only on deep tech, SaaS, and climate tech, guys.
I think something has to change, or the statistics will start getting normalized. That's a hazard. Interesting,
Correct, correct.
but it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting, right? How much of time is spent away from the phone,
Hmm.
which should be a key metric, and what you do beyond the phone. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that not so good note, this week we should, say bye to our followers, and and
So do tune in, guys. Next week we're gonna have a very interesting episode. We'll have Sajid Pai of Bloom Ventures coming in and joining us to discuss the Indus Valley report. This is the second edition of the report, right? I think they published
yes,
one
yeah,
last year as well. So it's
yeah.
fairly comprehensive. Delves into various topics. So we'll go deep in some of those and have Sajid share his thoughts as well on that.
Awesome. See you then. Bye bye. Take care. Happy
All
weekend,
right.
folks.
Bye. Good night.